Hey readers, what's up? It's Mr. Aarons back with you for session number 3 of your distance learning. How's it going for everybody? Are you hanging in there? It's a rainy morning. For me, I don't know when you're watching this. I've been up since 5:30. That's when my kids got up and they are now screaming downstairs. So I hope it's quieter at your house. Uh, so today we are going to be talking about this story called Catch the Moon. So if you have not had a chance to go on StudySync and listen to Catch the Moon, remember I'm only asking you to read paragraphs 1 through 23 today, because we'll spread this story out over 2 days. Um, but go and watch Catch or listen to Catch the Moon rather. It's a cool story. It's a little love story for you, which I thought was pretty neat. But today we're going to be using it to talk about our objective, which is that readers will cite textual evidence to support their inferences about the character and their relationship with secondary characters in their independent reading books. So this is building on the objective from the past 2 days where we have been thinking about what does the text tell us about the character without coming right out and telling us things about the character. And also, what does the text tell us about the relationship that our main character has with what's called secondary characters? And that means any character that is not like the main character. So oftentimes the author is not going to come right out and say, this person does not like their dad. They'll drop little clues to let us know that the main character is like struggling with his dad, which we see in Catch the Moon. And those little clues help us as readers to make these inferences, which are guesses about the text using clues that we find in the text. So it takes a little bit of thinking. So you need to turn your thinking brain on as we are reading. So let's take a look at Catch the Moon, the text, and I'll show you what I was thinking and how I made some inferences as I was reading. Show you how I made some notes so that you can be doing the same thing with your independent reading book. So let me bring up the text here. And I'm looking for places where the text tells me more information about the main character, who is Louis Cintron here, or information that tells me more about Louis's relationship with other characters. And the first one that I found comes in here, let me turn the numbers on. Comes in paragraph 2. And paragraph 2 says, now Louis is wondering whether he should have stayed and done his full time. George Cintron and Jorge Cintron and Son, Auto Parts and Salvage, has decided that Louis should wash and polish every hubcap in the yard. The hill he is sitting on is only the latest couple of 100 wheel covers that have come in. Louis grunts and stands up on top of his silver mountain. He yells at no one. Someday, son, this will all be yours, and sweeps his arm like the Pope blessing a crowd over the piles of car sandwiches and mounds of metal parts that cover this acre of land outside the city. He is the son of Jorge Cintron and Son. And so far, his father has had more than one reason to wish it was just plain Jorge Cintron on the sign. Now, this part of the text gave me more information about Louis as well as his relationship with his dad. So the first thing I want to say is this right here. This sentence says, now Louis is wondering whether he should have stayed and done his full time. I know he's talking about juvenile hall because it tells us in paragraph 1 that he had done some time in juvenile hall. And now I see him saying, or I see him thinking, Louis is wondering if he should have stayed there rather than getting out and working with his dad. So I'm going to make a little note to myself that says, Louis dreads working with his father. at the junkyard. Although it saved him from, let me spell that right. Although it saved him from juvenile hall. To me, seems like anything would be better than juvenile hall. But now I see Lewis saying, oh man, I probably should have stayed. Um, and so this gives me some insight into who Lewis is as a character, as well as a little bit about what he feels about his dad. So I'm going to write down some of my thinking about that. I'm going to say the fact that he questions if he should have stayed in juvenile hall lets me know that he so I said the fact that he questions if he should have stayed in juvenile hall lets me know that he may not have the best relationship with his dad. Um, so I'm going to create that note, and I think that's also supported by his dad saying, son, someday this will all be yours. And he points to his junkyard. And it almost seems like Lewis is kind of like rolling his eyes, like, oh, geez, this is not the life that I want for myself. So I'm able to do a lot of inferencing when I look at this paragraph here, and I'm able to figure out a little bit more about what Lewis is like, as well as his relationship with his dad. Now, this note that I made here is something that you can do on a sticky note in your independent reading book, and it's a good annotation to make. So let's see now if I can do this again. And see if I can make some more inferences about Lewis and what his relationship is like with his dad. And actually, when I was reading, I thought the next paragraph also told me some more information about Lewis, as well as what his relationship is like with his dad. So the first, well, here, let me read the paragraph to you. Lewis has been getting in trouble since he started high school 2 years ago, mainly because of the social group he organized, a bunch of guys who were into harassing the local authorities. Their thing was taking something to the limit on a dare, or better still, doing something dangerous like breaking into a house, not to steal, just to prove that they could do it. This was Lewis's specialty, coming up with very complicated plans like military strategies and assigning the jobs to guys who wanted to join the Tiburones. Now, this first sentence here, or part of the sentence, tells me a lot about Lewis. Lewis has been getting in trouble since he started high school 2 years ago. So maybe he's like a junior in high school. And here's what I was thinking. It actually made me question something. I said, Lewis is acting in a I said Lewis is acting in a rebellious way. Rebellion means to go against the people in your life, or to go against what you know is right. So Lewis is acting in a rebellious way, and I wondered why. Why would he do that? And when I started to think about that question, and looking at the rest of the paragraph, I came up with this. So here's my note, and this took a lot of time for me to connect the clues that I saw in this paragraph and even the one before it. So it's a mix of statements and questions that I ask myself. It says Lewis is acting in a rebellious way. I wonder why. And then I kind of answered that question. Lewis' rebellion involves seeking danger to prove himself. Then I asked another question. Is he rebelling against his father? I said sometimes people seek danger when they are rebelling against someone. Now, that note there is going to help me to think more deeply about Lewis and his relationship with his dad. It sounds like Lewis is getting into trouble, and I'm thinking that maybe he's getting into trouble to show his dad that maybe his dad can't control him or he doesn't have to listen to him, just to prove that he's an independent person now that he's an adolescent or he's a teenager. So as I'm reading, I'm going to keep that in mind. I'm going to keep thinking about, why is Lewis rebelling? What does that mean about his relationship with his dad? And how is that going to be a part of this story? Now, as I am reading, these are the things that my head is doing as I'm reading the words. My thinking brain is trying to connect these clues together, and I'm asking questions to get a deeper understanding. This is exactly what I want to see you doing when you're reading your independent reading books. Trying to figure out, what kind of inferences can you make about your character and their relationship with secondary characters using clues that you find in the book? So today, I'd want you to read your independent reading book for 25 minutes. Notice and note any important parts of the story. So that includes passages that tell you more about the character, passages that tell you about their relationship with other characters, and inferences that you can make. That's applying the strategy that you learned in today's lesson. And then I'm going to ask you to demonstrate that you've done that on your ticket to leave, which is on the Google Classroom, when you finished. Well, thank you very much, readers. I hope that you have a great day. I hope that you stay inside and that you stay safe. And I'll be back tomorrow with another lesson. Enjoy your reading, guys. Talk to you later.